Welcome to the Grit of the Matter, where we talk about what it takes to grow through life's unexpected challenges. I'm Denise, and this podcast is built on 5 pillars: grace, resilience, intentional, trust, and thrive. These conversations are for inspiration and education only and are not substitute for medical or professional advice. Please consult your qualified provider for your personal needs. If this resonates with you, be sure to like, follow, share, and make sure to turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get to the grit of the matter.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome back to the Grit of the Matter. Today, I'm so really excited to welcome another guest into the show. These guests that I bring in, they are absolutely amazing. I have had the best opportunity to talk to so many great people, and today is no exception. Today, my guest is Cass, and she's from the Middle Tennessee area and shares this powerful journey of overcoming addiction and multiple different situations that she's been in. And I want her story to bring hope, strength, and encouragement to those others walking that might be in a similar situation. So, Cass, welcome in. I'm so glad you're here today.
Oh, thank you. You're so sweet. I love being around you.
Oh, thank you. I love hearing that. So, Cass, today, this is my first question that I like to ask everybody is if there was a listener that's meeting you for the first time or they're hearing your story for the first time, I want you to tell us a little bit about your journey and what led you to where you are today, and anything that you want to put in there to kind of open up your journey. So maybe it would be valuable to somebody that may be going through a similar situation but just does not realize what they're going through.
Okay. Well, feel like I meet a lot of people in recovery that grew up in homes where addiction was prevalent. And I can't say that for myself. I grew up in a home. My dad's a Southern Baptist preacher. He has been since I was 4. I never saw a drop of liquor in my house. But there was some dysfunction going on, some abuse going on with one of my grandmas. I didn't realize my dad wasn't my biological father. So growing up, he never treated me any different, but his mother hated me. So there was a lot of like weird abuse going on there. Her locking me in closets and just a lot of weird stuff. So then I get older and I get into high school and I started smoking marijuana, like skipping school, hanging out with my friends and stuff. And that was enough until this lady from my dad's church started like sending me flowers when I was like 17 in high school and stuff. And I thought she was just being sweet and she wanted to hang out with me. They named their kid after me and all kinds of stuff. And it just seemed like she really liked us. Looking back on it, it ended up getting really creepy. Well, we went to this guy's funeral and somebody had some meth. And I had always been really scared of it. And I was sitting in the car and she like licked some aluminum foil or something. And I looked over at her and I was so scared. And then like we kept hanging out for several days. I couldn't find any weed. So I ended up doing that stuff. And buddy, when I took my first bit of meth, I felt like I could start running and take flight. It was crazy. Like I felt like it was the answer to all of my problems. I finally felt like I could get things done. Um, and my life was over basically. And I ended up meeting this really dangerous guy that I got pregnant by, and I had my daughter. I left the mountain, came down here. I did really well for a couple of years, and then I met another guy that did meth. Started doing that again, and I was making it like IV use. There was just a lot that went into it. I was basically going insane. Like that's what meth does to your brain. It makes you go crazy. Like you're in some type of psychosis. And I just remember like leaving my kid all the time and feeling like a piece of crap, because I have this beautiful daughter that should be enough to make me want to want to stop. And I did want to stop, but I didn't know there were any resources around here. I didn't know we had rehabs. I didn't know we had AA meetings. Things had to get really, really bad before I was able to get to rehab or like even find out about any of those resources. And I was a stripper for like 6 years. So I did that. I made really good money. I finally admitted it to my daughter because she was like all upset one day, wondering why I left her so much. And I told her that that was one of my jobs. And she was like, it makes so much sense now. That's why you always had so much money to get me Christmas presents and stuff. But those are all things that I've been deeply ashamed about in my life. You know what I mean? And so part of like recovery is forgiving yourself, and then the makeup, that's part of my recovery, is just having like a ritual in my life, because drugs are very ritualistic and makeup is very ritualistic. There are all these steps that you have to take, and then you have a finished product. And I think that's why I really like makeup now.
You were talking about the way it made you feel, the meth. When you took it, you said it made you feel like you could take flight. Could you explain to some people, like explain to the listeners some of the feelings that you had, maybe in a little bit more detail, if you can remember any of them, and then maybe in the extended point, was there any changes that it made in you, maybe made in your body, made the way you feel when you weren't, when you didn't have it in your system? Maybe those little changes like that. So maybe it would be recognizable to somebody that might be in a similar situation.
Yeah, so yeah, I think an important piece of the puzzle. Okay, so most people who are in addiction have some sort of untreated mental illness. So I think that a lot of us are self-medicating. So I found out I had ADHD when I was like 11, and my parents didn't like the medicine. They said it made us zombies. And then I think that's part of what meth did for me, was it helped my ADHD. It helped me to actually like focus. It helped me to get things done. And when I wouldn't have it, I would feel depressed. I would feel, I don't even know. When you're coming down off of meth, it's horrible because it's almost like satanic. I don't really know how to describe it. It's like you're possessed by a demon when you do those kinds of drugs. And it's just very depressing. It's very scary. Like, I've had so much psychosis on meth. I've had so many times that I've seen things that weren't there, that I felt the presence of like demonic spirits. Like, you're just dabbling in something demonic.
Mhm. Yeah. So was
I
it,
don't know.
did it seem like whenever you were high, I'm guessing that's the way you say it from meth.
Yeah,
When you were high, did it feel more like you were still there, or was it like more of an outer body? You were there, but you weren't there kind of thing?
yeah,
Does that make sense? Is that how it is?
yeah, yeah. It is kind of like an out of body experience because you are there, like your body's present, but your mind is somewhere else.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's the most powerful. I've done a lot of drugs, and that's the most powerful one as far as for me. And everyone has a drug of choice, but that one, I just couldn't stop. I mean, and anytime that in recovery that I think about getting messed up, I never think about alcohol because God removed that completely from me. He made it disgusting, like it makes me nauseous.
Yeah.
But I think about doing meth, and it makes me mad at myself, because it's like I know where that would take me if I did that again. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to do it, but it just agitates me that that is my brain, but that's just the brain of an addict, like I can't beat myself up forever because I think like this, because that's just how my brain is.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So, sometimes I do bounce around, so just bear with me as I do this, okay? Um, when was that moment? I'm sure there was that moment when you realized, okay, something needs to change here. Was that a long time after all this? You said that you were kind of groomed, so that kind of began everything,
Yeah. And I
you
was
know?
18 when I started doing meth, and I remember being about 18, and I sat down to do a line of drugs, and I heard a voice in my head that said, "You don't need this." And I swear that was God, and I was 18 years old. So I
Yeah.
was aware from the time that I started doing that I shouldn't be doing it, that it was not what God wanted for my life,
Mhm.
and I continued to do it anyway.
Yeah. So when you hit that point in age, I mean, obviously you started in 18. How long did you do that? You said you did it for years before you finally quit. But when you got to that point to you said, I'm ready to be done, what was that point? Where did that happen? When you was just like, okay, I'm
Well,
done. I cannot do this anymore. This is not what's meant for me.
I've only been off of meth for 5 years, and I'm 39, so almost about 15 years on and
Yeah,
off of doing
yeah.
meth and drinking. And then every time that it would get too much on meth, I would start drinking alcohol because I was like, well, nobody will notice. I kept switching back and forth every time one of them got to be too much,
Mhm,
and alcohol is a big one for me too. And then alcohol. So when I went to Alcoholics Anonymous, I was mostly struggling with alcohol, and I learned a lot from these guys, Joe and Charlie. They have all this stuff that puts the big book in layman's terms, because the big book was written by Bill Wilson in 1929. He was very intelligent, he was very showy. So everything is written in like old language that doesn't make a lot of sense. So these
mhm,
guys make it understandable, and they're really funny. They're like these southern older dudes, and
mhm,
they put it like so in an alcoholic's body, there are fewer enzymes that process alcohol. So, like for us, it stays something like acetone longer in our system, which actually produces the phenomenon of craving. That's why when someone that's not alcoholic starts drinking and they feel tipsy and weird, they want to stop because they don't like the way they feel. But when I
mhm.
drink, I can be throwing up as I'm drinking, and I still want to drink more because, and it's
Yeah,
just, it's weird. It's interesting to learn scientifically how this stuff affects your body.
right. Yeah. So, the book, can you say the name of it again? Because I think I want to add it to the description just in case anybody,
It's
um,
the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous.
okay.
It's just the Alcoholics Anonymous big book,
Okay.
and
I'll
it's
throw that
their
in the
Christian
description too,
literature.
and that way, if anybody
Okay,
needs it, then it's there.
right.
So what did it take for you? Again, I know that has been a long journey for you. So what did it take for you to be honest with yourself about what was really going on in your body?
Well, I had an accident with my kids in the car. They were all right, but I
Mm-hmm.
didn't get a DUI. I got like reckless endangerment, and then that really got me. I ended up going to rehab right after that happened. I went to rehab 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
Went to AA all the time. And then I ended up getting sober because I went to a Suboxone clinic and they put me on Suboxone. I did that for a year. So I've been
Yeah.
off of it. I'll have 4 years in like 2 months
Yeah.
from alcohol. Yeah.
Well, congratulations on that, right? That's a huge milestone. Um, I'm I want to say I'm very proud of you.
Thank
So
you.
no matter how much you're beating yourself up about some of the things that you've done, the biggest thing to think about is the steps that you're taking to make it better, right? And
Right.
so always think of that no matter where you're at in that situation of your recovery. Don't beat yourself up about that. And I know that's got to be hard. I know that's probably easier said than done, but you're an amazing person, first off.
Thank you.
We've known each other for a little while, and I think you're absolutely amazing. And I you just have one of those. I don't know what I don't know how to say it. One of those personalities that people could be drawn to you. And if your story can help somebody, then that you know what maybe there's God's purpose, right? Not
Yeah.
saying that God's purpose was for you to go through all that, but now that you're making your recovery forward, maybe that's what you're here for. And I know that you have a job that's very stressful too. Um, so as you do this and as you think about your recovery journey, what is something that it's taught you about yourself as you've gone through your recovery portion of the journey? I mean, I'm sure it's showing you that you do have strength, right? 'Cause it takes a lot.
Yeah. I think it's just shown me that I can make it through a whole lot of bullshit
Yeah,
without getting messed up.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely. Because when you're, I'm just, I'm just I'm just going to say this, but I don't know. So when you're an addict like that, it makes you feel like you need those things, right? To handle any stressful situation, right?
Right.
Where I would go out and probably go outside and, scream or something like that. That's where your body is urging you, okay, now you need this, right? Is that
Right.
kind of the way it is? Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing is like, oh my gosh. That's the things that people will do for the drug that they want
Mhm.
are insane. Like I have seen so many messed up things. And my one of my best friends, he hung himself. He got really drunk and did that. And then one of my other really good friends overdosed, and I walked in and found her. Like there's been some really hard things, and like her son is around the same age as my daughter, and his dad brought him by here like a year ago, trying to get my information so that he can hang out with daughter, and it just makes me so sad. And then like my friend who hung himself, his son works at Food Line, and I wish I could give him like an anonymous letter and tell him how much his dad used to talk about him and stuff, but I don't know. He's probably moved on by now. I should have done it a long time ago.
Maybe, you know what? You never know, Cass, if that's something that you feel like in your heart that you need to do, that may be God telling you that might be something he needs.
Yeah,
You
I've
know?
been thinking about it for years, and then I'm just like, maybe I shouldn't do it. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, maybe you should, maybe that's a step forward, and that might be something that's holding him back from progressing in his life. Not
Yeah,
saying that he's not progressing in his life, but maybe, because you think about in this scenario, I kind of look at it in this scenario. You think about someone that, like a baby, that was dropped off and left by a parent. Those questions that they have in their heads. It probably is any more different from someone that's lost someone that they
yeah,
didn't know, right? So, I'll give
yeah.
you that encouragement. It might be a good thing to do.
You're so sweet.
So, I know you've gone through a lot of different chapters and you've done a lot of different things, but how does life look for you now compared to
Oh,
before?
girl. Oh, my goodness. Do you know how wonderful it is to worry about getting toilet paper or paying the light bill, not waking up? And I used to set alarms for myself for when the liquor store opened for like 6 a.m. just so that I would know that I had to be up in 2 hours.
Yeah,
And I would get there at 8 o'clock in the morning with like a bag of pennies to pay for a bottle of whiskey.
yeah,
I'm so happy that I don't have to deal with that anymore. Like that, even if I have a stupid thought, I can like tell myself. Hell, we were sitting in the car one day, and I said, it would be. I've just had a stupid thought pop in my head. It'd be great to do a line of cocaine. I don't even do coke. I never really did cocaine, but like that was just something that when it came in my head, and my
yeah.
husband was like, "Yeah, that is stupid," and then we just started laughing.
And now you're at a point to where I'm sure that you have those really rough days whenever it's hard to laugh about that kind of stuff, but it's good that you can, on those good days, really, really laugh about it and be like, I'm not there anymore.
Yeah, and I do still smoke. But that's one of the things too that I keep in check because so it says in the big book, anything that blocks you off from the sunlight of the spirit, you shouldn't do. And I don't feel like smoking does block me off from the sunlight of the spirit. But I try to make sure that I don't spend too much money on it, that I never do it whenever I'm alone and upset. And I
Mm-hmm.
only do it like just to relax before bed or something, or like on my days off just for the heck of it,
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I do smoke a lot, but it's funny because I messaged my best friend in active addiction. We were best friends, and we've seen each other at our worst and weirdest, and we love each other no matter what. And I messaged her and said I relapsed one time a long time ago because I'd smoked some pot. And she said, "What do you mean? Did you smoke?" And I said, "Yeah." And she was like, "I think that's more of your medicine." It was funny because she knows me so well. She used to hate it when I would drink, buddy, because I never could show emotion, so I would drink so that I could cry and stuff because of all the messed up stuff that was going on.
Yeah.
Like in all these abusive relationships, and then like me and my ex were making it together, and it was just bad. It
Yeah.
was just a bad way of life, and leaving my daughter with my mom all the time. And now I get to see my daughter every single day. We hang out, and she loves me to death, and she's proud of me. And her friends still, so a lot of her friends' parents are still messed up, and they love being around me. And like she told me the other day that her friend said, "I wish that your mom was my mom," and I'm like, well, I can be all of their moms.
Yeah. Yeah. And you know what? Since you've
That
been in
makes me
that
feel better.
situation, you may be able to help those children through that situation too, since
Yeah.
you've been literally through the same situation that her families were going through, right? So,
Yeah. If I could
so
do that with every second of my day, just help somebody else, that would make me happy. Like,
yeah,
and
yeah,
that's what keeps you sober too, is you give back to other people. You keep it by giving it away. So thank you for letting me come do this, because I've been looking forward to it for so long, because I'm about to have 4 years sober and I feel like I never get to talk to anybody about this stuff, and like, I don't know, it's helping me. So thank you.
yeah. Well, you're welcome. I'm so happy that you decided to come in here and do this with me because I really do feel like I didn't know your whole journey. I knew some of your journey just from different things that I've seen and things that you've said and mentioned to me a little bit about, but I really do feel like everybody has a journey and all of our journeys are connected in a way, whether it's a big journey for me, right? It's a big journey for somebody else, right? And I just, I don't know. I'm the same way that you are too. Is if I can help somebody, just one person, if I can help somebody in any way, that's my goal. And
Yeah.
so I feel like that's what's going to do. Now, you do you do wonderful things with your makeup and stuff. So we're going to move to that for a minute and talk about that. Does
Okay.
that you mentioned that part kind of helps you stay grounded, right? So is there anything else that helps you stay grounded with your sobriety?
Oh, I would say reading the Bible. I love to hula hoop, and that's so I'm gonna get tested for autism, because I do have ADHD, and my brother just found out that he has high functioning autism, and I realize now that hula hooping is how I get my stimming in. I think because I spin around in circles a lot, and I've always done that.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, I love to hula hoop or any kind of like physical exercise. And then getting on Clapper helps me a lot. Like just having the support of you guys, people I've met from all over the world, that
Yeah.
if I did have something I had to come on and break down about, they would be there. Or if I just needed a laugh, like I love that we have this whole community.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I think it's an amazing community. And I never look, I was never very much on social media, but whenever I came over there, I mean, it was almost my very first social media ever. Me and my husband shared social media stuff together as we've been married. And whenever I decided to go onto social media, I don't know what brought Clapper to my attention, but when it did, it just clicked into me and it was like, this is where you need to go. And I found a great community over there. So I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your makeup a little bit if you want to. You do amazing work. Oh my gosh. I will tell you the one that stood out to me the most, and I think it was probably it might have been around Halloween. Maybe it was just one that you had done and you posted it around there. But it was like half of you was Venom, and then the other half of you was oh, you had the two sides to you. It was
Was it
amazing.
Spider-Man? That's cool.
Probably it was probably the black Spider-Man and then Venom, right? I feel like
I
maybe
think
that,
so.
or maybe it was the regular Spider-Man cover, and then you had Venom on one side. Amazing. I mean, oh my gosh. So
Thank you.
that has got to like take a lot of patience. So is that something that you do just to kind of help you with all of the things?
I think so, like, and I love the Venom. I love that you love the Venom look, because that's like the darkness coming out of me. And
Oh my gosh. It is
but
amazing.
I think part of like the makeup, I was with so many, like not so many, but like two really controlling guys in active addiction. My two relationships were very abusive. Like my ex he pulled my shoulder out of its socket, and it still messes with me, like especially if it gets cold and stuff. Pushed me off a porch, like, and they never wanted me to wear makeup, and it was just like I was constantly just being made to feel like I was less than, while they're trying to cheat on me and all this crazy shit. And now like I'm with a good guy, and I never did makeup in active addiction, and so now it's part of like, it's how I know I'm doing well.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? I don't know. There's a lot that goes into the makeup thing, and I don't really I'm getting older, so I don't really wanna do all the foundation and crap anymore, so I'm just going with, eye makeup, eyebrows, blush, and lips, but
Yeah.
I would love to do more of the, big face paint looks.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh, you're great. And I know I've had to call you a few times and or messaged you like Facebook Messenger and sending you these videos. And I'm like, am I doing this right? Because I don't know what
You
I'm
are.
doing.
You look so beautiful. I thought that when I first saw you today, I'm like, "You look so pretty," and then I saw you
Oh,
after you got your makeup and stuff.
thank
Like,
you.
you did it right.
You know what? The only thing that I really do is my lashes are really long and they're really light though. You can't really see them unless I put on mascara of some sort. So I just put on mascara and then I just do a little thing. I don't even know what I'm doing. I really don't know what I'm doing because I have never really worn makeup much. Really mascara's been the only thing, that and maybe lip gloss. And then whenever I started doing this, I was like, okay, I'm going to be on camera a lot. I probably need to try a little bit harder, you know? And so I just do this little thing right over above my eyelashes and then underneath, as in it's like, what is it, a liner? But I use mascara for that. So I just kind of like line underneath. And that's really all that I do. But you make it look so simple. Like you make that whole thing because you've come into my lives and you've been putting on makeup and making yourself look beautiful. And I, I'm like,
You're
give me
so sweet.
whatever's easy.
It's funny because I swear, so one of my, and nothing against you or anybody, but one of my biggest pet peeves is when women say, I couldn't do that if I tried. I'm like, girl, I have not been doing this for that long though. I got on TikTok and started liking wigs, and then all these girls from a makeup community were like, why don't you come do makeup? We like your makeup. And it's just like the basic shit my mom taught me when I was 12, you know?
Yeah. See, and
So,
my
and
mom
I
was a
mean,
no
you
makeup
can.
wearer. My mom did
Exactly.
not
See,
wear it.
but you can do it like you're already doing a great job. So
Yeah.
it does take a little patience and practice, you know what I mean? Like if you do something every day and you try to change it up a little bit every day, then you'll learn a lot more than what you think you will.
Yeah.
And it is such a good thing for women to feel beautiful, and that's one thing I started out doing whenever I got on TikTok was I was giving a lot of compliments and stuff, and that made me feel good about myself. It makes me feel good to make other people feel good. And I've noticed that the biggest thing that helps me stay sober and be happy is helping other people, like we were talking about before. Like even at work, just making a difference in some sweet little old person's life that has nobody, you know. Like this one lady was like, will you come sit by me? And she said, am I ever going to get out of here? And I
Oh,
about started crying. I was like, girl, I don't know. And I had to hug her. And
oh,
she was like, just sit here with me for a minute. And then she was like, do you have any kids? I never have kids. And I told her I had. And she was like, could you bring him to see me? And I was like, of course. And then I said, would your husband care? And she said, oh, no. And then she said, well, what are we going to get for him? And they're just so cute. Like,
aw.
you know, some of them that don't have anybody that comes and sees them, like they just got dropped in there and left forever. And it
Oh,
just makes me so mad, you know?
yeah. Oh, that just breaks my heart. Oh my
I
God.
know, oh good God, every single day, and then after a couple of weeks, eventually I'll break down and be like, I can't handle it right now, and then I'll cry, and then it'll be okay.
Yeah, yeah. Wow. That's just um yeah, I talk a lot about being in the social the oh my gosh, being in the I talk a lot about being in the social community and how difficult it is to like follow along with a lot of stuff. I mean, I know that you're on Clapper a lot and you have a lot of different shows, social medias. Do you do a lot of engagement? Do you stay connected with a lot of different ones or is it mostly Clapper?
Mostly Clapper, and then I have people that I met off of TikTok on like my face, a couple of them on my Facebook that message me all every day pretty much,
Mhm.
and I try to always and my dad's a Southern Baptist preacher, so I was raised my whole life to be against like gay rights and stuff, and I'm not against it anymore. I'm very I'm not to the point that I want to confuse children and stuff, but I'm to the point that anybody, whatever you want to be, is what you should be. That if it makes you happy, and I've got a couple of guys that want to transition to be females that text me all the time asking me what I think about like dresses and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
for some reason, that kind of stuff makes me feel very happy. Like it makes me feel, because I don't know, I guess I just kind of identify with that. Like I grew up my whole life feeling like I didn't belong,
Mhm.
so I can relate to feeling like you don't fit in,
Yeah.
and feeling like, what you are isn't enough or isn't right. And I just think that it sucks that people have to feel that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think I'm kind of like making retribution for all those years of like blindly following my parents and everything they believed.
Well, I mean, I think as we age, though, we have to find our own way too, right? I mean, of course, you're going to learn from your families and you're going to, whatever the religion is or whatever it may be. But then as you age, you kind of have to build your own decisions and focus and things like that. And I mean, you've
Right.
talked about God, so you obviously believe, right? And,
Right.
you know, um, you just have to choose your manner of that, I guess is the way I'm trying to say it. And I'm a very non-judgmental type person. I'm a Christian and I believe in certain things, right? I believe there are certain things, but I also believe that I'm not the judge of that, of
Yeah.
anybody else. So, they have to make that right with God
Yeah.
themselves. And who's to say that in their eye or in the private eye that they haven't talked to God about what's going on in their life, right? So
Yeah.
I just, I always try to make sure that I shine a light and let people see the Christian in me and know that I'm someone that they can always reach out to if they ever needed anything. But, that's just, I guess,
Exactly. That's exactly it. It's just like with my kids. So my whole life I was raised to be terrified of my parents. So like if I were at a party and things got wild, I couldn't call my mom because she would get mad at me. And so with my kids, I've told my daughter since she was a young teenager, if you're at a party and you get drunk, you call me. You do
mm-hmm,
not get in the car with anybody. You do not drive. You call me. You will not get in trouble. You will get your little butt home. I'll go get you, and we won't talk about it.
yeah.
That's
That
it.
was
Like
exactly the way I was with my kids. Yeah,
I would rather my kid not be scared of me
yeah.
and be come home alive than my kid be terrified of me and die. Like that's
Mhm.
just not
Yep.
it's not a good thing
I
to do.
exactly 100% the same way, Cass, because I taught my kids, it was like, well, it might be something bad enough that you might have to get in trouble to kind of teach you a lesson, to keep you from getting into more trouble. But I want you to call me 100% because
Yeah.
as it's happening, I want to be with you and I want to know that you're safe. You know,
Yes,
so
exactly.
that was definitely, I remember even in college, my daughter, she would call me and she would be like, Mom, and so I was so glad that I had that with my
Yeah.
kids and they knew that they could call me for anything. I didn't care what it was. I'm like, I don't care. I don't care what it is you call me. So
Right. At the end of the day, they're humans, like they're just little
make mistakes.
humans and they're gonna make mistakes. Yep.
We make mistakes. Everybody does. And if anybody says that they've never made a mistake,
They're full of
mm,
shit.
yeah, I was going to say they might need to think about that.
I like your answer better.
They might need to think about that. So let's go a little bit back to your journey. If there was anything that you could tell anybody, like if there's a first step for someone that they could take, if they feel like they might have a problem, do you have any suggestions on a first step? Just that first step to get them
So
started.
the first step is to admit that you have a problem and tell someone that you trust. Have a conversation with them. Ask them if you're already asking, do you think I'm an alcoholic or do you think I'm a drug addict? That's probably your answer. You probably just answered yourself.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, that first step is just to admit to yourself and to somebody else that you have a problem, somebody that you can trust. If it's not your parents, a friend, one of your friends' parents, a teacher, if you're young. As an adult, I would tell my spouse or a friend or a parent.
Mhm.
The second step would be to get online and look up resources in your area. Now, I would suggest if you were to go to rehab to go to not a co-ed rehab because there's no point and having the distraction of men or women there, I went to one co-ed rehab. I hated it. There was a guy trying to hit on me the whole time. It was distracting me. And I almost got in trouble over it, even though I didn't reciprocate. So I went to an all-women's faith-based facility in Nashville called The Next Door, and it's amazing. But yeah, do that. And then I would look up local AA meetings or NA meetings. Those are all the things. And then, like, if you're addicted to pills, you can get on Suboxone. That's like a short-term thing. A lot of people do it long-term. If you're scared that you're going to relapse, do it as long as you need, I quit it cold turkey because I didn't want to be addicted to something else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it got me out of the addiction of all that crap. And it actually helped me with my alcohol cravings, which that's not what they use it for, but I think they should start doing that. I think it would help a lot more people.
Yeah. So as you were going through all of those things, what did you see was the most supportive, whether it be family, community, or something specific, in the support as you were trying to figure things out and make your way out of that situation? Where was your support and what did it look like for you?
Girl, I tried so many times to tell my family that I was quitting that it got to the point where I was like the boy who cried wolf and they didn't believe me. So whenever I first got sober, my family was one of the things that I had to not let make me drink because they were so stressed out too, which was my fault. I conditioned them to be that way. But my AA sponsor had to be the biggest one. I could call her anytime, day or night. If I was drunk, she'd tell me to call back when I was sober. But she gave me, and she was very tough love, and I think I needed that. Like, my grandpa was my biggest enabler, and he coddled me a lot, and he let me get away with a lot, and I needed somebody to kick me in the butt and tell me, no, you cannot keep doing this, you're gonna die. It's a life or death situation. Addiction is not necessarily, I don't think it's something that anybody chooses to do with their lives. It's not like you wake up one day and say, hey, I'm going to be a crackhead today. Like, it's something that happens because you're in a bad spot and it is an answer to all your problems. And so you have to find a sufficient substitute, which would be meetings, for a while. I don't do meetings anymore, but I did for a long time, and they saved my life for sure. Just being able to go into, like, because when you're first sober, like, there's something called post-acute withdrawal syndrome, which is like pause. And there's all these things that happen at the certain month mark. So, like, the 1 month mark, the 3 month mark, and you'll start getting to where you want to relapse. And it's just good to be somewhere where you learn all that information so when something happens in your brain, you can be like, oh, never mind, that's just post-acute withdrawal syndrome. It's not like, like, you can kind of reason with yourself, because addict brain is stupid. Seriously, like, all that it thinks about is what it can get for itself to make it feel better. I find myself getting in that now. Like, I have to be like, look, calm down. You don't need a damn snack right now. Like, you're gaining weight. You're just eating to eat because there's nothing else to do. Like,
Well, I was going to say that too. That's even like someone that's an eating addict, right? Or a sugar addict or whatever it may be. It doesn't have to necessarily be a drug. Because those can be drugs to you if you're addicted to it and you can't get away from it, or you're trying to get away from it. It has similar symptoms. I know that some of the harder drugs is more symptomatic, but you can still get those types of symptoms. You can get those cravings. You can get, all of those things. That was actually going to be my next question, was what was the hardest part in the beginning when you were trying to make that transition to sobriety? What was the hardest part for you?
Oh, the hardest part is just going a whole day without doing drugs or alcohol. And there used to be this thing that I loved in AA where they would say, in the morning, you get up and you get on your knees and pray to God to remove the obsession to drink and drug. And you do that all throughout the day if you have to. And then at nighttime, when you put your head on your pillow and you realize you've been sober all day, you thank God for keeping you sober. And those are things, the little things in the beginning, a lot of prayer, saying the serenity prayer over and over and over. Every time something happens, like screaming, going outside and just screaming, like you said, calling your sponsor, telling on yourself. Like if I was in the middle of Walmart and I needed to tell somebody, hey, I really wanted to drink right now, but I don't think I should. Like, who cares? Just tell someone.
Yeah.
Who cares if they think you're crazy? You'll probably never see them again.
That's
Like
right.
it's just,
That's right.
the hardest thing is just not picking up a drink or drug, and then once you get past that part, that's when the real hard shit starts. That's when you have to start learning how to live life on life's terms. And that's what you've never been good at. That's why you did drugs,
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it is
So,
hard. And it's hard because I feel like I got stuck at the mental, emotional age of like 17, because that's when I started smoking. And then 18, I started doing the meth and everything. So
and that's
it's
probably
hard.
that's probably a hard thing in itself because you're still growing, right? You're
Yeah.
still maturing and all those things. And then I feel like that's another reason that it's probably so hard when you're young, when it starts that way, because your body's still in that transition and you're trying to mature and all those things. Your brain is still trying to grow and all those things. So it makes it a little bit harder because at that young age, if it makes you feel that way, then your brain is like, woohoo,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing for staying sober is if you don't start accepting responsibility for your actions, nothing is ever going to change. And like I have to accept responsibility for a lot of stuff even now, like even like at work, there's some of the people I work with are so rude, and I have to accept responsibility for the fact that I just let them talk to me that way.
Yeah.
But I also have to not be rude back, so it's just there's a lot of things you have to do to stay sober. And I mean, and even like, so see if I'm in a live and there's a bunch of people drinking, I'll leave. And I'm not like mad at them for living their life, but that's not something that I want to be around, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and changing people, places, and things. Like this one lady kept trying to get me to come to karaoke at Jack Daniel's Distillery. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to go to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I just know that I wouldn't have fun. I don't want to be around a bunch of liquor. Like,
So what is one thing, I know that you've mentioned your makeup is one thing, but is there anything else that helps you keep going on those days when it gets really hard?
oh, my kiddos. And then I'll read the Jesus Calling. And I'll read the Bible. A lot of times I'll just open to Psalms and read a random Psalms. That helps me a lot, like at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But and I talk to people a lot about, I'm an open book. Like I talk to people, everybody that knows me knows I'm in recovery. And I think that I'd kind of do that to safeguard myself. It's like maybe if I just throw out that I'm in recovery, nobody will ever offer me anything. You know what I mean?
Yeah. 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 Well, I mean,
But,
you do what you have to be comfortable with, right? You have to do what helps you.
right.
I
I
100%
think the
think that.
main thing, it seems like I run into a lot of young people, like this young girl I work with, her mom's still using, and she talks to me a lot about stuff. Like she'll just bring up stuff and ask me questions about my recovery because she's worried about her mom. And
Mhm.
I just find that it's nice to be an open book because I know some people that are in recovery and they're ashamed to tell people.
Yeah.
You could help so many people if you told them that you've been
Yeah.
through that.
Right. So looking back, is there anything that stands out most in your journey to recovery?
I think just my daughter. My daughter, getting to the age, past the age where she's just little and doesn't understand why I don't want to be around, to the point where she started.
Yeah, I'm here.
Oh, I just said when you have a 13-year-old girl telling you need to get your act together.
Yeah.
Like my daughter, she was tired of it. She wanted me to be better and she wanted to have a good family life. And I
Yeah.
couldn't not do that for her after all the years of choosing things over her. And that's the hardest part, is forgiving yourself. That has to be the hardest part.
Yeah. Yeah.
But if I don't forgive myself, I just sit in here wallowing in self-pity. So,
Right.
you know,
Well, um, I only have a couple more questions that I like to ask, and these are some of the basic ones. Like I said, a lot of the questions that come from our discussion, and we just bounce around. But one of the ones that I do like to ask is, I mean, if you've paid attention to any of my solos, I talk about grit and the importance of moving forward. But when you hear the phrase "moving forward with grit," what does that mean for you personally?
Moving forward with grit. Girl, that means you gotta take all that stuff that happened to you. You still have to be nice, but you just gotta be tough. Like, you have to be able to take shit. If you can't take anything, you're not gonna make it in this world, you know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Moving forward with grit. I like that. I like that.
Well, grit for me, my acronym is grace, resilience, trust, and thrive.
I like that.
And it's intentional. All of these things are intentional. So the I means intentional for me. But and I think we all have to move forward in some way. And why not do it intentionally in any way that you do it, right? But your answer was great. That was not a bad answer. That was a good answer. So before we wrap up, if there's anybody that's listening to this story and they want to know where they can find you on any of your social medias, do you want to throw in some information about where they could find you, what you're listed under for your profile or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm the Cassandra Complex on TikTok and Clapper. And I can't remember what my Instagram is. I think it's Beauty by Cassandra.
Okay. And the last thing, is there anything that you would like to tell anybody that's listening that could encourage them to keep them moving forward? What would you want them to hear right now?
That you're not a bad person, that you're just going through a lot, that there's millions of other people in this world that are going through the same thing. Then you can do it. Like, all you have to do is just let go and let God,
Mm-hmm.
Or if you don't believe in God, you got to let go and let the universe take control.
Yeah.
Do the next right thing.
There you go. Good. Well, thank you, Cass, so much for joining me today and sharing your story. I really do appreciate you for hanging out with us. And guys that are listening, if you are listening, please make sure if it's something that we've talked about today that resonates with you and you would like to reach out to Cass, she's always available on her social medias. With that, everybody for listening, we'll see you guys next time. Thanks for hanging out with us.
Welcome to the Grit of the Matter, where we talk about what it takes to grow through life's unexpected challenges. I'm Denise, and this podcast is built on 5 pillars: grace, resilience, intentional, trust, and thrive. These conversations are for inspiration and education only and are not substitute for medical or professional advice. Please consult your qualified provider for your personal needs. If this resonates with you, be sure to like, follow, share, and make sure to turn on those notifications so you never miss an episode. Now, let's get to the grit of the matter.